Hi guys, I'm Kesha. Welcome to another reading vlog, and this one is very exciting for me because I'm going to be reading two horror books that have romance in them, and it's obviously because we are in February, so we have to celebrate Valentine's the way that I like it, which is with some horror sprinkled in it.
It's coffee time.
We all know that romance can turn into a horror story like in the blink of the eye, and I thought this year for Valentine I would read two books by two authors that I enjoy, that I've heard people saying they have a heavy romance aspect to them. The first book that we are going to be checking out in this vlog is Voices in the Snow by Darcy Coates. This book has been recommended to me multiple times, and indeed I bought the ebook. I have it on my Kindle when it was recommended to me because it was on sale, but I still have not read it, and I thought now it's the perfect time. And that is because I've heard that this book has a lot of romance in it, and that might be why some readers don't enjoy it, but I actually don't mind the romance, especially if I know that it's gonna be there before I start the book. I think that kind of already sets my expectations, you know, and I know the horror might be not as intense and that the romance has a lot of importance, then I am mentally prepared to accept that. Whereas when I go into a book expecting a lot of horror and all I read is smooching and loving, I might be like, excuse me, where's my horror? We follow Claire, and she wakes up one day at a stranger's house. She doesn't know how she got there, what happened to her, but the stranger tells her, hey, you were in an accident, so I took you to my own place until you got better. Sadly, you cannot leave now because there is a snowstorm and we are incommunicated. So Claire is like, okay, so can I trust this guy? Can I not trust him? She doesn't know what to do. So she's very confused. She doesn't know if the car crash was an accident, if it was not, if she can trust this man, if she cannot. But the reality is that she's trapped in this cabin with him, at least until the weather gets better. So I'm excited for this one, and Darcy Coates is an author that I have enjoyed so far. I have read two of her previous books, and they were very, very different. So one was The Haunting of Ashbourne House, which was more of a haunted house classic story, and the other one was Dead of Winter, which I just read at the end of 2024 and I ate it up. I love that book so much. So this might be a complete different story from her, so I am really excited. The other book that I plan to read during this vlog is from another female author that I really enjoy, and that is Rachel Harrison. I'm going to be checking out Such Sharp Teeth. Rory is not excited at all to go back to her hometown, but she has to because her sister Scarlett needs her. Scarlett is pregnant and she doesn't have any relationship anymore with the baby daddy, so Rory feels like she has to go and take care of her sister. And returning to her hometown is, like I said, not something she's really looking forward to. After a night out, Rory meets a guy that it was kind of like an old flame of hers, like a love interest that she had when she was younger. And when she leaves the bar, she's with her car and she has the feeling that she hits an animal or something, and she gets out of the car to check what she hit when she gets attacked. So I believe this is a werewolf story, obviously based on, you know, the cover and what the plot tells me. So I wonder where all the romance elements come from, and I am excited for this because Rachel Harrison always surprises me. I think so far I've also read two books by her. Coincidentally, same as with Darcy Coates, I have read The Return and I have read Black Sheep, and Black Sheep so far has been my favorite. So we shall see how my ranking goes after I read Such Sharp Teeth. So welcome to the Valentine vlog, and I hope that you enjoy me reading horror romance for a whole week. Hello and welcome to my Valentine reading vlog. And I have started this vlog quite strong because I had a really good leg day today. Actually, my legs are in pain right now, so I am expecting not to be able to move in the foreseeable future, but that means that it was a really good workout and I am starting again to gain more strength back. Basically, you have muscle memory, so if you ever lifted weights and then you stop for a period of time, then your muscles are going to recover much faster than someone that has never ever done, weightlifting, obviously, because your muscles have memory. So I'm starting to see how my muscles are able to take so much more weight already, so it goes quick. And I'm really happy because I love the challenge. I love to push myself. I love to feel the weights, the heavy weights. That's what motivates me to go to the gym. I have never been someone that loved cardio. Does anybody love cardio? DM me, because I suspect nobody actually likes cardio. We know it's good for us, but do we really love it, right? So I personally really like weights, and so I'm really happy to be back at the gym. Today is also a great reset day in general because I went to the gym, I had a nice shower, washed my hair, I had like an all shower, which are so satisfying, and now I'm gonna be sitting down to start our book. As I mentioned in the intro, I'm gonna be reading 2 books in this vlog, and I have decided to start with Voices in the Snow by Darcy Coates, and this is because I have never read a Darcy Coates book series, and this is 4 books. So if I enjoy the first one, I can keep going with the series, and I'm really curious to see what she did with this one also in particular, because a lot of people recommended this title to me before I decided to do this vlog, and that's also partly why I'm reading it for Valentine, because people told me that I should read it, that it's really good, but they also told me and warned me that it has a lot of romance in it, which is what we're looking for Valentine. So now that I have a moment to spare, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna start reading Voices in the Snow. Here with a reading update. So yesterday I managed to read 30% of the book, and I have to tell you that it is a very quick, easy read because you are really engaged with the story and the characters from the get-go. Like, the author really quickly sets up a scene where you are very intrigued about everything that's going on, and you also don't know who to trust. Not even the main character knows. So I think that makes it like really interesting as a reader, and so far I'm really enjoying it, even though not much has happened up to the 30% point. So Claire is driving to her sister. Apparently there is something going on in the world, some sort of phenomenon, and they want to get ready for this huge snowstorm that is approaching. And Beth, her sister, has a bunker, so they have decided the best thing is for the family to gather at Beth's house, and then they can all go together into the bunker and try to survive this as a family. But before she makes her way to her sister Beth, Claire has to pick up her aunt because her aunt lives a little bit isolated in a farm and she cannot get to Beth's house, so she has to pick her up on the way. Unfortunately, when Claire is on the way to pick up her aunt, there is a lot of trouble on the road, a lot of chaos. Cars have been abandoned on the side of the roads. The keys are still in the ignition. She doesn't know what's going on. The storm seems to be getting worse and worse by the second. So she decides to speed up and try to get to her aunt as quickly as possible. That's how the book starts. And then the next chapter is basically Claire waking up in a room she doesn't recognize and a little bit confused. So Claire wakes up in this room, she sees the wallpaper and she's like, where the hell am I? I don't recognize this. This is not my sister's house. Where the hell am I? I just remember I was driving and now I'm here. And she's also in pain. And why? Because she has bandages everywhere in her body and apparently she has been hurt. Turns out she is in a mansion and the only other person there with her is a man. A man she's never seen before, a stranger. And he tells her, oh, I found you. You had a car accident. You were bleeding out. So I decided to bring you to my house to take care of the wounds and I just wanted to help you. Conveniently, due to the storm, the lines are down, they don't have any way to call for help, and so now Claire is stuck in this mansion with a stranger. She's very weak because she has all of these wounds from the alleged car crash, but she doesn't remember crashing, and she's a little bit confused, she's scared, she doesn't know what to do, she cannot even leave because, well, A, she's been hurt and she's weak, and B, the snowstorm makes it impossible for her to leave. So picture it, you just were allegedly in a car crash, you wake up with wounds all over your body in a place you've never been before, it's someone's mansion, with this strange man. He claims this is his family home, but do you know for sure? Do you have receipts? Do you have documents? Are there any pictures in the house that show him? Because there's been no talk about that. So how do you know this guy's family owns this place? Like, he's giving you all the information, right? And he has excuses for everything, but is it true? Also, is the author trying to make it really obvious that he is a potential threat? Is the author trying to lead me astray, trying to be so distrusting of this guy, and in the end maybe he's going to be a good guy? So I love when I have characters like that I don't know if they are good or if they are bad, and everything is a little bit questionable. It could all be, you know, true, but it could also be all lies. So the guy's name is Doran, and he talks about how his childhood has not been the healthiest because his family is a little bit toxic. They're big pretenders that they still are super rich, but in actuality they are struggling financially. And I don't know, like when he talks about his stories and all of that, I'm a little bit like on the fence if I believe him or not, because he was supposed to go with his family to another property that they own because the winters are really harsh in this mansion, and he's the only one that decided not to go and to stay here, which is a little bit shady. Even though if he does have a really toxic bad family, I also get why he would like to be alone, but I don't know, everything is a little bit weird. And we got to the point where Claire feels a little bit better, her wounds are a little bit better, and she now starts to feel like she's seeing things inside of this mansion, inside of this house. And it's very interesting because there seems to be something wrong with this snowstorm. It doesn't seem to be like your typical snowstorm that is going to pass in a couple of days. Like, I feel like there has to be some sort of like supernatural thing happening, or maybe even like zombies or virus outbreak. Something must be going on outside if the world was kind of shut down to the point where Claire wanted to go to the bunker with her family. So I don't know, something shady is going on. And I don't even know who to trust at this point. I mean, I feel like I can trust Claire because as a character she feels like genuine in a way. She just happened to have an accident and ended up, you know, in a situation that it's a little bit complicated. But I feel like from, you know, the characters that I know, which mainly is just two, she's the one that I would trust. However, she's starting to see things, so I am wondering now if she's even sane herself or not, or if there is anything else going on in this place. I don't want to go into too much details on what she's seeing or when or where, but I don't know now if she's also a reliable narrator or not. So I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. Only 30% into the book, but I feel like because I only have two characters, right? I have Claire and I have Darren, and the rest is characters that have been mentioned but you haven't really got to spend time with them. I feel like these are the two that have to fall in love, which is weird. It almost feels like Stockholm syndrome. Like she's stuck in this mansion with this guy, and is she going to develop feelings for him just because he's protecting her, taking care of her? Like at the beginning she was scared of him, but now they have kind of almost like a friendship, so it's starting to get weird. So I don't know where this is gonna go, but I will report back. Today I have to still go back to work and work for some more hours. I think I'm gonna have a bath later and read my Kindle in the bathtub because I haven't had a bath in a while and I really miss it. So I think that is the plan for the rest of the day. Good morning guys, I'm here with the next update. So I read a lot yesterday and I decided that because I was so close to getting to the end of Voices in the Snow, I was gonna push my way through, and I am happy here to report today that I have finished the book. Unfortunately, it was not exactly what I thought it was gonna be, and it didn't quite hit the spot for me. Okay, so when it comes to the romance, it is indeed very much present in the book, and there is a trope of forced proximity. Obviously, we have Claire and Doran trapped in this house trying to survive with these really bad weather conditions. They are unable to leave the place. Claire is still recovering from her injuries, and they are forced to, you know, spend time together, and they end up, of course, liking each other. Finally, when I got to 55% of the book, I felt like the plot was moving forward. And we got something that I really enjoyed, which was a flashback to when Claire was getting ready to leave her house, so that we understood a little bit better what was happening in the world and how she ended up having the accident. So I did like that flashback, and honestly, the beginning of the book and that flashback were my favorite things. Which is a little bit sad. And I think the flashback happened at 70% of the book, so by 55 the plot is finally moving forward, and by 70 you get to understand more of what's going on in the world. I'm not gonna reveal that because I feel like that is very much the point of the book in a way. So I'm gonna leave that up to you if you want to try the book. For some reason, when the tension starts to, you know, build up, when there's all of these action-packed scenes and our main characters are in danger, I could care less. And that is a sign that I sadly could not connect to the main characters. But that might have been just me. It's not like I dislike Claire as a character, but for some reason she felt very bland to me. Like I could not really feel her personality on the page. I could not see who she is. She was just very meh as a character, and Doran had a little bit more personality. I think it's because we actually get a little bit of his backstory through things that he tells us. So everything is much tell and not show when it comes to that. And I don't know, I didn't like the characters. I didn't fall in love with them as they did with each other. So sadly, all the tension building was a little bit lost on me because I could care less. By 80%, they are really together, and he calls her darling, and I almost threw up in my mouth. I don't like when people say those things, especially if you've only met someone for like maybe a week, couple of days, and you're like, my darling. Ugh. No, thank you. I do understand that one of the main themes of the book is grief and how people process grief and how grief can really break a person. And sometimes a person that is broken is easy to be manipulated. So I did like that kind of theme that I found in the book. But unfortunately, like I said, this didn't really quite hit the spot for me. The ending ends with a cliffhanger and kind of setting up things for book 2, because this is a series. I don't know if I'm gonna be picking up book 2. I feel like this is a series that maybe I could consume as an audiobook, but I don't think I want to sit down and read the whole series. Not even on my Kindle, I think, but we shall see. And last but not least, I wanted to comment something that personally didn't work for me, and this is indeed a spoiler, so I am going to put a timestamp to when the spoiler part ends in case that you guys have not read the book and you don't want to be spoiled. So I'm gonna start with the spoilery part right now. So the whole horror from the book comes from something that is happening in the world that scientists and people cannot really explain. They're calling it the quiet zones, and when a zone is affected, people there kind of mutate into something that it's almost like a zombie because they are dead. Almost, they are cannibals. They want flesh like the zombies and they crave human flesh. And the way that they mutate is a lot more extreme than regular zombies. One of the creatures has like, I don't know, 6 legs or whatever, so it's almost like they're mutating into zombie spiders kind of thing. And that didn't work for me, unfortunately. I'm not the biggest fan of creature features, and when there is a creature, I might rather have something, I don't know, like a werewolf or something like that. I feel like this type of mutated creatures don't always work for me. They did work though in The Forgotten Island by David Sodergren, because there were also many other things involved in that book, but here I just felt like I was really disappointed, and I don't know, that didn't work for me. I was expecting by some reviews that I saw that it was going to be about zombies maybe, but the way that these creatures were introduced and they were called the Hollows, I don't know, it was just, it didn't work for me. It almost felt like fantasy, you know, you had like a queen that looked like a spider and she controlled all these other Hollows that worked for her and, you know, were doing what she was saying, and I don't know, that didn't work for me, sorry. So now we resume our regular program, and today I am extremely busy. Today is a Friday and I have like a week mostly until I fly to Spain for 2 weeks, and even though I'm going to be working there, I want to leave all of my YouTube content ready and uploaded. So I have a lot to do for YouTube. I have my regular job, I have a translation to finish, so I am quite booked and busy today. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to start my other book until tonight, but the good news is I have been invited to join Amy during her reading sprints tonight, and that is gonna give me the boost that I need to start our second book for this vlog. So tonight I'm gonna be starting Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. And so far I have only read 2 books by her. I read The Return, and then I read Black Sheep, which is my favorite so far. And I think once I finish reading all of her published books, I'm gonna do a ranking, because I feel like she's an author that really works for me, at least so far, 2 out of 2. Let's see if the third one works, because this one I chose specifically because there is romance in the book and it's quite present, or at least that is what people say. I still have not read it, but that's why I chose this one for our Valentine vlog. So let's see what I think of that one. I think I already gave you the synopsis at the beginning of this video, but I'm gonna quickly repeat it. So we follow Rory, and she's going back to her hometown, which she is not really excited about, but her twin sister Rachel is pregnant and the daddy is like, bye-bye, see ya. So she needs help with the baby, and Rory decides to go and help her sister. Now one night she goes out to the bar, to the pub, whatever they have in that town, and she meets one of her old, you know, flames, someone that she used to like, and on the way back home she feels like she hit something with the car. Was it an animal? What was it? And based on the cover and what I have read, I think she starts to turn into a werewolf for some reason. I don't know, but I think that's what happens. Hoping for it because I would love to see a female transforming into a werewolf. I don't think we see that enough in books, and knowing Rachel Harrison is probably going to have a feminist take on it, and I'm here for it. So I'm sorry to report that after my morning shower I have now to go and work. At least I have my coffee, so I'm going to be working all day until today at 8 p.m. for me, where I will be joining Amy for reading sprints, and then I will finally be able to sit down and start reading Such Sharp Teeth. morning guys, it's time for an update. So last night was so much fun and I got a lot of reading done. I had such a good time talking about horror movies and horror books with Amy. I feel like we talked a lot last night, and the 3 sprints that we had I used to start reading Such Sharp Teeth. And if you were in the live, you probably know that I am really loving this book. It's very interesting because I was a little bit unsure about this one, even though the previous 2 Rachel Harrison books I have read I enjoyed. I didn't know what to expect from this one because obviously being romance a little bit more present and being about werewolves, which is, you know, not always my favorite creature in horror, which, spoiler alert, is vampires. I didn't know what to expect, but honestly, this book is really good. Actually, last night when I was reading this book, I realized that I probably want to buy all Rachel Harrison books in physical form. I don't have all of them in physical because The Return and this one I am reading on my Kindle, but I feel like I would like to have a collection of Rachel Harrison books because so far the 3 that I have read, I mean, I have not finished this one yet, let's not jump to conclusions, but I feel that the 3 out of 3 are going to be bangers. Such Sharp Teeth starts right away with basically her getting in trouble. Like, basically the synopsis of the book is chapter 1. Rory is back in her hometown trying to help her sister because her sister is alone and pregnant, and she goes out one night and she meets one of the guys that she knew from school, Ian, and Ian always had a crush on her, and now he's tall and handsome, and she's like, wait a minute, I might actually hit that. So anyway, look at this baby. Drusilla is 9 months old. Look at this thing. Oh my goodness. Why are you getting this big? Look at this thing. So anyway, after a night at the bar where she meets with Ian, she drives home and she ends up in a car crash. So Rory thinks, oh my god, I must have hit an animal. She is very hurt from the car crash, and the next thing that she remembers is basically waking up at the hospital. Obviously, as a reader, you already know that something happened to her that night, that this animal that she hit, this animal that she thinks she saw, it's most probably a werewolf. However, I like that the author is not like being too direct. This book is more showing than telling, which I really appreciated. The author is basically slowly letting you know that something did happen to Rory, she got bitten, and now she's going through changes. And obviously you know that she's going to end up becoming a werewolf, but I love the way that things are being presented. Obviously when the police asked her, she said it was a bear that she saw in the woods, because you're not gonna tell that you saw a werewolf with red eyes. They're probably gonna think that you are crazy. But now Rory is having nightmares, she's sweating overnight, she wakes up really hungry, but then she doesn't have appetite for regular food. Regular food stinks for her. Her wounds are getting weird instead of recovering, even though she was treated at the hospital. She drinks water straight from the tap when she's really thirsty. Like, you're seeing all of these little things that are letting you know that she is changing. She also notices that something is different with her, but she cannot really pinpoint what it is. I am currently 31% into the book and I am already loving it because there is a deeper theme to the story. This is not just your typical werewolf story transformation. The author here is talking about women's bodies and how they change over time, and how sometimes we feel like we're not home inside of our own bodies. You go through, you know, childhood, then you get your period, then your weight fluctuates when you are in your 20s, 30s, then, you know, you might get pregnant, and the pregnancy weight, the postpartum, how your body changes over time, especially as a female with the hormones, and how a lot of times throughout our lives we feel like our body is not our own anymore because of the changes. And I think that's such a smart topic to take and combine it with a horror werewolf story. I love when, you know, authors are able to take such deep topics and give them a spin and kind of like present those very heavy topics as a fun horror story. And that's also why I really love The Invisible Man and The Wolfman by Lee Wanell, because those two kind of modern interpretations of the classic tale are basically giving you something deeper. The Invisible Man was a movie that, yes, it was about the invisible man, but also about, you know, an abusive partner. And The Wolfman is not just about becoming a wolfman, but also about generational trauma. And I love when horror can do that. But we're here to talk about the book. And like I said, I'm really loving it. I'm only 31% into it, but I just love the way that Rachel Harrison writes the story. Everything flows so well. The writing style is impeccable, and I already feel so connected to Rory, and I can already see how she's struggling through these changes. She doesn't want to tell people about it. She's ashamed, she's scared, but she's trying to get ready for what's to come because she's almost certain that what bit her in the woods is a werewolf, even though she cannot prove it. But she's scared because she kind of knows what's coming, so she also wants to be prepared for it. And I don't know, I'm loving this book. So at least book 2 in this vlog seems that it's going to be a new favorite. So today I think I'm going to go for a walk because I need to get out of the house a little bit. I am trying my best in 2025 to leave the house every day if I can, because when you work from home it's very easy not to leave the house at all day. Nothing wrong with it, but I'm trying to move a little bit more this year, so I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna have some healthy food, and then I'm gonna read a little bit more of Such Sharp Teeth. It is the next day and I wanted to give you a quick update today because I am running out of time to finish this book. So I need to finish it basically between tonight and tomorrow morning because this vlog is supposed to go up tomorrow. I went to the gym today and I also plan to go tomorrow because I'm trying to maximize this week. I'm flying to Spain on Sunday and I'm not gonna have access to a gym in around 2 weeks, I think. So I just wanted to make the most out of this last week lifting weights, and I feel really good. So today is Thursday, the day before Valentine, but today is also my anniversary with my partner, and we're going for sushi tonight because it's one of my favorite things, but it's also very expensive, so we only do it for special occasions. So before we head out to have dinner, I thought I would sit down and read a little bit. I'm 67% into the book, which means I should be able to finish it between today and tomorrow morning, which is Valentine's Day, and that's when the vlog is supposed to go up. This book is so good. I'm going to order a physical copy because there is a lot of sentences and things that I want to highlight, and I just love this book so much, so I'm gonna need a physical copy, which is reinforcing my theory that I'm going to need all of Rachel Harrison's books in physical form, because apparently she is a new favorite author for me. So before I start reading today, I wanted to update you a little bit on my thoughts of the last bit that I have read. So there was a big content warning that came up, so please keep that in mind if you want to check out this book. There is a really big content warning, so please do check content warnings if you're somebody that needs to check them before you choose to read a book. I've mentioned it before, but I love that this book is not really superficial. It is a very interesting commentary on women's bodies in particular, but it's also about trauma, and in this case, you know, how trauma is connected in a way to this transformation into a werewolf. You know, how trauma changes us even though you don't want it to, maybe, but it is unavoidable when something really big happens to you. But apart from the heavy topics, this book is also light in the sense that, you know, you have Rory that is throwing a baby shower for her sister. She's also, you know, getting to know Ian and realizing that, yeah, maybe she likes him a little bit more than she would love to. She's a werewolf, so she doesn't want to commit to a relationship, but on the other hand, she really likes this guy. So it has a lot of those fluffy almost bits to it, almost like a regular contemporary book, and that with a contrast of all of the dark themes and the werewolf thing. I really like the balance. I've also noted down a couple of my favorite sentences, and one of them is, "The wolf will always be there in the mirror. The wolf is me." That is fantastic. I love it. It hits. It hits. And another one is, "You're so beautiful, but I need you to love me ugly." It's just, oh, this book and all the quotes that I could name, it's beautiful, it's fantastic. I am praying at this stage that the ending is not going to ruin it for me, because so far this has been a 5 out of 5, new favorite, and I would be so gutted if I get to the end and I don't like the ending. I'm really scared. So that's everything that I wanted to talk to you about. I don't want to go into too much detail on the things that are happening now, because we are basically almost 70% into the book, and I don't like to spoil books in these reading vlogs. And with that being said, it is time to relax and read my book. So you guys, it is Friday, it is Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine, guys. This video has taken a little bit longer to complete because I've been really busy, but I am really glad that I did it, because I feel like I wanted to read more from both of the authors that I read in this vlog. And last night I did go out for sushi, and I went with my best intentions to actually film a little bit of it, but then, you know, I just got caught up in the moment enjoying the lovely dinner with my partner, and I forgot to film. Which I guess it's a great thing that I forgot to film. So anyway, I did finish Such Sharp Teeth this morning, and I am giving it a 5 out of 5. This is a new favorite of mine, and I'm really happy that I read this book. You know, when you read a book that it just exceeds your expectations, and everything in the book is something that you love, and there's so many sentences of that book that you would quote and that really hit the right spot for you. That's this book for me. And like I said, I'm definitely gonna get a physical copy. I've even considered doing a spoiler-free review of this book, or maybe even a spoiler-filled one, because this book has been out for a little bit, because I just love this book so much and there's so many things that I would like to talk about, but that are of course spoilers. So let me know if you would like to see that. When I finished the book, I actually felt peace. I was at peace. I was like really satisfied with everything. I did enjoy the ending, which was something that I was scared about. And there is something else that was brought up in that last 30% of the book, another theme that I think is very important, and that is how women sometimes are pitched against other women, and we are kind of raised to be jealous of each other and hate each other, and how that is just very harmful. The author says you can't free yourself from pain by causing pain. And I felt that sentence. Like, this book has so many good sentences, and I could be just raving about this book here for 1 more hour, but I have to wrap up this video so I can go finish editing it and uploading it for you guys today. So all in all, I think this was a good reading vlog for me. Now, unfortunately, the Darcy Coates book was not a new favorite or anything like that. Actually, it's my least favorite from the Darcy Coates books that I have read so far, and I don't think it was just because of the romance in the book. I think there were other factors that made me not enjoy that book so much, like Claire being such a flat character with lack of personality, and I just couldn't really get into it. So I don't know if I'm gonna move on with the series maybe in the future, but right now I want to focus on other books that are more of a priority for me. But then we flipped it, you guys. In the second part of this vlog, I found a new favorite. And I'm starting to realize that Rachel Harrison might be a new auto-buy author for me. Who would have thought? I think I actually started reading her books just last year. I don't know if it was 1 or 2 years ago when I just started reading her books, and now I'm obsessed. So needless to say, I am definitely reading So Thirsty this year. I have it in physical form, and I'm definitely gonna read it because I am obsessed with Rachel Harrison now. So I don't know when I will read it, but definitely this year. And it is a take on vampires, but if you read anything by Rachel Harrison, you know that she takes, you know, vampires, werewolves, cults, anything like that, and she gives it a spin and turns it into something different that avoids the majority of the tropes and introduces deeper themes and darker themes into the story. And I love that combination between horror and important topics that need to be discussed. Plus, I really like her writing style. Like I said, many quotes that I can just note down from such sharp teeth that I would love to revisit. One of the quotes that I think is also very important that I noted down on my notebook, because I don't have a physical copy yet to kind of highlight that, is the following. Once I stopped thinking about what my life wasn't going to be, I started to see what it could be. I mean, this book is just A+. So guys, if you were considering picking anything by Rachel Harrison, this is my favorite. Which maybe is not a good one to start with, because then you set your expectations way too high for the rest. I started with her debut, which was The Return, and I really enjoyed that one. Then I read Black Sheep, really enjoyed it as well. But this one hit differently for me. And this is everything, you guys. I hope that you are having a fantastic Valentine's Day. Let me know down below if you have read these books, or if you guys know of any other books that combine horror with romance. Let me know in the comments down below. I hope that you enjoyed this reading vlog, and I'll see you all, as always, in our next coffee time. Bye!